Yo, good morning guys. This is Rob with Fruit of Labor Landscaping and I'm out here in the Serene Forest. Today is Monday and we will be posting our Bloomin' Blooms Monday to get this week started. But today as I was walking out to feed my chickens, I found a certain insect that I haven't found in our foodscape or food forests until today. And I just want to go ahead and show you guys it because I think it's kind of like a rare find, at least it has been for me obviously. And just a chance to go over it, and then we'll be posting a full article on this in our gardening forum on our website. We call it our gardening friends or foes, and we kind of go through different insects that we find in the garden and talk about whether or not they're a friend or a foe. Do they benefit the garden? Are they basically only a pest, or can they be a little bit of both? So we'll definitely be adding this critter into that topic as well. So let's go ahead, I'll flip this camera around and I'll show you guys what I found. All right guys, so this is basically one of my raised pots, and right now it's got some weeds, but I've been growing some cabbage in it, as you can see. And right off the bat you can see the critter that I want to show you guys today. So this is a pretty mature larva of the Saltmarsh moth, and so this would be a Saltmarsh caterpillar. Now a lot of times worms are, a lot of times caterpillars of moths are called worms, but this guy seems to be most commonly called a caterpillar, so we're going to go with the Saltmarsh caterpillar. I have never seen them in our garden or our foodscape, and I've never seen them on my cabbage. Normally I get the normal cabbage critters like the loopers, the cabbage worms, the army worms, and things like that. So seeing this guy here is pretty interesting and pretty new. He's got some remarkable colors on him. You can see he's got all that frass or poop from munching on my cabbage. And so obviously that means that they can host on cabbage. Based off of the University of Florida's website, I learned that this caterpillar, I guess I should say that the moth lays eggs on many different species of broadleaf weeds, especially throughout the United States, Canada, and even some of South America, or Central America, sorry. And they can lay eggs in clusters of like 1,200 eggs, which means that that's going to be a ton of these that could be coming into your garden. One thing that is unique about them is that unlike other worms or caterpillars, when they start to get more mature, they actually become very solitary. They actually leave other, they don't want to be around other caterpillars because they don't want to compete for food. And that's not usually the case, especially if you're, think about army worms, think about even monarch caterpillars, like, they will kind of stay together and move plant to plant. So finding a mature caterpillar by itself is pretty common, and it also is nice to know that, as I look at this plant, I might not have to worry about there being, 10 more somewhere else on it. Now, if it was younger, we'd still have some room for concern, but this guy looks like he's pretty much ready to go to the soil and then pupate into the adult moth. These caterpillars are really cool. They have a lot of cool color. They have all these hairs on them as well, and everything that online says that you can touch them, that they don't pack a sting or a punch, similar to some of the other hairy caterpillars or worms. So that's good to know, especially if you have small kids around. Another cool thing that they can do is they can drop from plants and basically spin like a silky parachute, and for lack of a better word, and basically use the wind to go from plant to plant. As they begin to become more solitary, they will move from plants that the eggs were laid on, and they'll move, especially if you're thinking about like a farmer's field, they start moving from those weeds that aren't getting irrigated, like, all right, Mr. Rooster, that aren't getting irrigated like the food crops are. And so when those weeds start to dry out, they actually will move into those food crops. They can host or eat several different species of food crops and weeds. things like cabbage, obviously, and many other broadleaf brassicas and even vegetable plants. And then there's a few different of our species of weeds that they can host on, and I'll make a list because it's a lot, and I'll just put it in text so that you guys can kind of see the list of different plants that they could potentially host on. And that helps you also with kind of figuring out what it is when you're trying to identify, especially these caterpillars and worms, is what plant are they on, because many of them have a list of plants that they will host on. And so that kind of helps you narrow down, when many of these might look very similar, it helps you narrow down what insect or what worm or caterpillar you're actually looking at. Well, guys, that's pretty much it. And I'll send you guys the link for the University of Florida's article on these so you can basically learn more about them. The University of Florida's website is pretty much my go-to for trying to learn about and identify different critters and insects that we have here in Florida. They do a good job of walking you through the different stages of life, what they host on, their distribution, and so it's just a really useful resource, and it's free, so that's awesome too. So anyways, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys will be able to recognize this for your garden in the future. And we'll talk about in our article on our forum about kind of different methods of prevention, control, removal, or whatever you feel is necessary in your situation if you come across these caterpillars. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.